What's up, people? I am JWil. This is Inspire God's People, the podcast, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. Listen, man, for those of y'all who rock with the podcast, you know what I mean? This is a recap of episode 164. We just dropped a new episode this morning at midnight. Shout out to everybody who's been listening, rocking with the podcast for the past couple years. We are going to start doing, by we, I mean me, I'm going to start doing these video recaps, like we're going to talk about what we already talked about, but in a different form of fashion. So I advise you, you know what I'm saying, to check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those things. But today, I'm going to kick it with y'all about the definition of transition, man. We had a real dope conversation as it relates to going to these different phases in your life. I think like everybody says they want to go to the next level, but we're gonna actually dig into like what that really takes for real, like some tangible things that you could take away today. And if you find yourself and you like, man, I'm sick and tired of where I'm at, like this ain't it. I'm trying to do something more in my life. If we be real about it, you know what I'm saying? That's what I like to do. Be real. Like sometimes in life you kind of get sick of where you at. You kind of get and look, it ain't to throw shade at the people around you and your current situation. The reality is just like sometimes you want to elevate. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the type of person, like for real, I'm like my environment really affects me, whether it be positive or negative. So when I find myself around like negativity, it tends to like agitate me. And I always know when it's time to let go of something. So today we're gonna talk about the definition of transition. And it's a couple like really, really important things I want to share with y'all as we, kick it about that. I even got some slides. Like I put together just a couple slides from the podcast just because I wanna give y'all something y'all can really take. So let's kind of take a look at this right here first. So the definition of transition. This low key blew me away. If you are a listener to Inspire God's People, the podcast, you already know from episode 1, I've been talking about the process. And like the one thing about me and the content that I produce is like, I'm not trying to give you like get rich quick, fake, you know, hey, just snap your fingers. God's going to do it. It's going to be better. No, like one thing I've learned in life is that whatever you want in this life, you got to work for it. And work a lot of times is like a choice. I'm going to speak from like my perspective living in America. It's like, look, I have opportunities that my grandparents, my parents, they never had. So for me, the hard work is how I honor them. Like my grandma passed in 2000 and I had a couple of my grandfathers that passed. And the thing for me is like I was real close to my grandmother. And I honor those people before me because I realized in the time where they was born in the 40s and 50s, like they couldn't like come on, let's just be real. My grandma couldn't go out and try to be no self-made millionaire. My grandma couldn't go out and get corporate job opportunities. She couldn't, upload a live video to YouTube. So for me, it's like for me to sit around the house and do nothing, for me just to accept in life, like, oh, it's so hard for me. Oh, it's so tough. I'm not saying your life not tough. That's not what it's about, but it's about putting it in perspective. Like the people that came before us, you know what I'm saying? They had to like, they was really out here blood, sweat, and tears. No matter how hard my grandma would have worked, she wasn't about to go to college. Like these opportunities didn't exist. So for me, it's like, no, go get that degree. No, go start that business. Go get that job promotion. I tell people all the time in my corporate job, go after these promotions. You feel what I'm saying? So transition, right? Let's read the definition of it, right? Because we're gonna really dig into this. Transition is the process. Look, I told y'all, like for off rip, you know what I'm saying? You can't make this like I can't make, you know what, y'all gotta see. Hold on. I can't make this up, bro. Transition is the process. You know what I'm saying? Just off rip. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because I think sometimes when we talk about transition, we think transition is let me, you know what? I'm jumping ahead. Let me just get back to it. All right. Transition is the process or a period of changing from one state or condition to another. The process or period of changing from one state or condition to another. All right. So why am I pointing this out? Transition is not the destination, it's the process. Say it with me, people. The process, process. You got to say process with an accent. You know, that's just what I do. You got to say it with an accent to make it more real for you. But look, transition is not the destination, it's the process. Why am I pointing that out? All right, let's just kick it. You know, this is what we do. So if you're a person and you like, all right, I want to go get this new job. So let's say, you know, I like to use like flipping burgers and stuff because I worked at McDonald's twice. I'm scarred. You know, I worked at McDonald's twice as a teenager, so I still remember it like it was yesterday. I was when I was 15, I worked at McDonald's in Madison Heights, Michigan, and I remember my manager came to me one day. True story. She was like, "Hey, do you get grossed out easy?" I'm gonna tell y'all how crazy I am sometimes. She said, "Do you get grossed out easy?" Now, granted, I'm 15 years old, so don't judge me, right? I'm thinking she talking about my paycheck. And I'm trying to remember, like, what's the difference between gross and net? Do I get grossed out easy? I'm like, is this a promotion? Is this how they promote you at McDonald's? But you know what she was talking about? She was talking about my stomach because, and I'm gonna keep this as clean as possible. This is a family show. A lady had went in the restroom and let's just say not properly disposed of everything she needed to dispose of. And what my manager was trying to do was ask me if I had the stomach to go in there and clean it up. I was like, oh no, my mama could barely get me to mop the floors at home. And you want me to go into a bathroom where a lady done did something? No, ma'am. So I didn't do it. Anyway, so McDonald's scarred me. I work at McDonald's a couple times. So let's just say, you know, you work at McDonald's. We work at McDonald's, right? And we're tired of being a cashier. I've been a cashier at McDonald's before, and ain't nothing wrong with that if that's where you at in your life. But at some point, you know what I'm saying? You're dealing with people. Sometimes people get on your nerves, especially on the front lines as a cashier. It get rough out there in these streets. The line get long. They get to blaming you. I remember one time a lady threw her cheeseburger back at me. I'm like, why did this lady just hit me with a cheeseburger? I am not back here cooking it. I'm just handing it to you. But she was mad at me because I was the person she saw. So as you can imagine, McDonald's scarred me. So I always use McDonald's, just so y'all know. All right. So let's say you working at McDonald's, right? And you finding yourself at a point and you like, all right, I want to go from here to here. I'm tired of being a cashier. I want to be a manager, right? So let's talk about that. A lot of times we want things because maybe it's a little more money. And look, don't some of y'all like McDonald's ain't a good enough example. Okay, you want to be the vice president at your job, you want to make 500,000 a year, whatever the example is, use that example. But we're talking about transition. So when you think about the fact that you want to go from a cashier to a manager, what ends up happening is you talk a big game. You like, yo, oh, the manager, she ain't doing nothing. She just walking around asking me if I get grossed out easy. I could do that. So what happens is whenever we want to transition, we start talking big. Like we talk big talk. You feel what I'm saying? And so it's like, all right, cool. You talking a big game about how you want to transition and what you're going to do. But here's the problem. Transition, remember, if we go back to the definition, that transition it's a process. It's the process or the period. So the transition ain't the new job, fam. Like a lot of times we think of transition like the destination. It's like, no, transition is literally the process. So why am I pointing this out? Why am I focusing so much on the process? Because the process takes work. And what we lie to ourselves and think is that just because you transitioning from something bad to something better or to something good to something great, whatever it is, just because the transition is positive does not mean the work is going to be easy. All right. Like y'all got to see, this is what we do. You got to come on. You got to stick with me, bro. You got it. You moving real slow. This is what we do. Just because the transition is positive or good does not mean that the work is going to be easy. See, this is what happened when we go to church, right? And like we like, all right, you praying to God for something. God bless me with all right, bless me with a Benz. God bless me with a new car. All right, let's think about this. That sounds good if you don't have a car, right? We be in church, screaming and praying. Thank God. Like God can do it. Okay, that's what's up. Faith without works is dead, but God definitely can open some doors, right? But here's what happens is All right, then you get the Benz. And it's like, well, it was easy when you didn't have a car because all you was doing was hitching a ride and you wasn't paying gas money anyway. Now you complaining about gas prices. You get what I'm saying? See, that transition came with some work. It comes with some responsibility. So what I'm going to do, all right, let me get back to this. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to break down, we're going to talk about 5 things about transition today. So I'm going to give you this quick overview, and then we just going to kick it freely about these things. And again, if you want to hear, more of this, listen to the podcast, Inspire God's People, the podcast, where we balance faith and business to lead you to your purpose, to guide you to your purpose. You can find it on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Audible and everywhere else. But these 5 things about transition, we're going to talk about how it's uncomfortable, how you have to change. Keyword is you. How you have to do what you said. Remember when, you was talking all that junk when you was going to be the manager. Now you got to do what you said. We're going to talk about how transition realigns your life, right? And then we're going to talk about something I call the hope of the unknown. All right, so let's kick it, right? Transition, this process, this period of time between where I want to go and where I'm at. So what ends up happening is, in the McDonald's example, when you said you wanted to be a manager from a cashier, let's think about the fact that now the first part about transition is uncomfortable. Even though you're going to make more money when you're a manager, even though you might have a little more flexibility or authority or a nice title, the reality is when you're transitioning from a cashier to a manager, it's going to be some challenges and some discomfort. All right, why am I saying there's going to be discomfort? Why is there discomfort in growth, right? And the reason I want y'all to understand, the reason why we're talking about this is because I know I see all the posts all day. I see it, fam. We look at the memes and we talk a big talk, and man, if I just sat and read memes all day, I would be making myself think I'm really doing something. I would make myself think that I'm really progressing just off reading it, because your mind, let me tell you something, according to scientists and neuropathologists, people that study your brain, I've read books on this. Your brain does not know the difference between doing something and saying you're going to do something. Google it. Google it. Googly, googly, goo. Google it if you don't believe me. Your brain literally doesn't know the difference between saying you're going to do something and actually doing it. What up, Lavelle? How you doing, my brother? We're going to have Lavelle on the show. Y'all got to check out his show, Quarantine with Lavelle. He is a part of the Inspire God's People family, along with Latoya Early from Chase Great University. Shout out to my people who rocks with me. So here's the thing, right? You got to Google it if you don't believe me. Your brain literally doesn't know. So here's what I'm saying. There's a chemical that your brain releases when it's satisfaction when you achieve something, right? Your brain releases the same chemical when you talk about it. Follow me on this. You ever talk about somebody you like or you love? Do you ever have a feeling about somebody, and like even when they not there, even when they not with you, like you still can feel good outside of their presence? You feel what I'm saying? It's like just talking about an experience can make you feel how you felt when you experienced it. That's because your brain literally doesn't know the difference between talking about it and doing it. Why am I pointing this out? Why are you doing it, Jay? Talk to me, sir. Why do you point these things out to these people? Why? I don't know why. Okay, let's get out of the accents and let's talk regular. The reason I'm pointing this out to you is because when you sit around on memes all day and making all these posts all day and talk it, listen, I do it. I'm not mad at you. We talk your talk. Like, I want you to talk your talk. But if you ain't doing it, see, the Bible says, be ye hearers of the word, but doers also. Like you can't just be a hearer, a talker. Like, and that's what some of us do, because what's happening is you psyching your own brain out. You making yourself feel good, and you ain't actually doing nothing. You just saying you gonna do it. All right, that hurts a little bit. So the reason that transitioning is uncomfortable, right, is because let's think about that from a cashier to a manager perspective. If I'm going from cashier to manager, first things first, it becomes uncomfortable when you go from being a individual contributor, like someone who's just responsible for themselves at work, into a people leader. Okay. So when you a manager, all right, let's think about it. When you transitioning from individual contributor to manager, this happened. Like this happened to my wife. My wife experienced this before with one of her friends went from being a co-worker to a manager. Oh, girl started acting crazy. She was acting so funny towards everybody because what happened is, imagine when we was both cashiers, we was both complaining about the shift, right? We was both complaining about how long we worked. We both was calling each other like, yo, I'm calling off tomorrow. What you doing? Man, it's Friday. I ain't going to work, dog. And then what happens when you become the manager, now you're transitioning into an area you never been in before. Now you're receiving the calls that you used to give out. See, elevation ain't always easy. These are real things that people go through when they're elevating from one area to another. What do? It becomes uncomfortable with how you deal with the people who were at the level you were at. Like some of y'all, we got friends and family members, and you decided to grow and you decided to take the next step or go somewhere in life. And the reality of it is, it became challenging when you started going forward because you realize everybody else ain't moving with you, right? And so it's like, oh, how do I don't even know how to talk to them. All right. So the first thing is there's some discomfort. All right. So let's go. Like you can be uncomfortable in transition. All right. Because you're doing something that you never done before. You feel me? You're doing something that is new to you. And whenever you're doing something new, like I started a new job in my corporate job 2 months ago. And I'm 8 weeks in, or eight weeks or so in. And look, I'm working in an area I never worked in before. I would like to think I'm a very smart person. You know what I'm saying? We all tell ourselves that. If I say it enough, then my brain will be satisfied because I don't got to actually be smart. I could just say it. But transition is tough because you're learning something new. And a lot of people don't actually want to go into transition because they think of all the reasons that are that will make them uncomfortable, and then uncomfort produces fear. When you like if you uncomfortable, you allow yourself to like dwell on that, you become fearful. Now let's think about this second part. You have to change, right? We're talking about just 5 things about transition, the definition of transition. If you're just jumping on, check out my podcast, Inspire God's People. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with you if you're not listening? I don't know. This is what we do. I got 170 some episodes of these type of conversations. I believe that. All right, so you have to change. Why am I pointing this out? Whenever we think about transition, a lot of times we think about our situation changing. So let's say if you broke right now, I like talking about money because I believe finances are really rooted in biblical principles when you think about finances in a healthy way, right? And poverty reminds me a lot of sin, to be honest. Like poverty works a lot just how sin works in general. And so when you think about finances, right, you broke right now. And if you broke and you start thinking about like, I want my situation to change, a lot of people who don't have money, what they want is money because they think money can solve the issue of being broke. And I hate to look, this breaks my heart to bring you this news, but more money doesn't always solve money problems. You know what I'm saying? And so what ends up happening is we're praying for our situation to change. But what God really wants to happen is he wants you to change. Now that's that's challenging for people because when we pray, it's like, God, do this, God, do that, God, make this happen. And then, you know, the Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Wait a minute, God. Oh, you want see, I just wanted to get money. Like I just wanted bread. Like, I gotta change. See, what happens is this is why, like, if I'm gonna use the stimulus check, right? Everybody got money 2 years ago. You know, if you made under a certain amount of money annually, then you got, you know, what was it, $1,200 or $2,400, whatever the amount was. And the thing was, some people got it and blew it. I'm not saying everybody. Look, man, I'm not, no harm, no foul. You know what I'm saying? So like, sometimes the content I dish out, it hurt a little bit. So I got to kind of like rub it on. I got to be nice to you. I got to look nice. I got to talk nice. I'm talking my work voice. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Hey, how's it going? It's going to be all right, pal. The thing is, more money don't always solve money problems. That's why people who win the lottery go broke. And I'm going to tell you why. Is because you gave them money without changing their mindset, without them changing. And so what ends up happening is when you change first and then produce the money, now when you get the money, it's the new you that has the money. It's the you that learned financial literacy. It's the you that knew how to save. It's the you that became disciplined. It's the you that knew how to resist the temptation of wanting to just blow all your money. If someone just walks up to you and give the old you $100,000 right now, all the old you is going to do is blow that money. So transition, godly transition, biblical transition requires you to change. It's that process where you're developing the new version of you, because remember, transition is the process of going from one place to another. So many of us are praying about the destination, but we need to be praying about the process. God, change me. God, help me to grow. Like, help me to become better. Like, help me to read. Help me to learn. Man, I can't tell you. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to give somebody, let's say, financial, or let's just say credit advice, right? Like, you give someone advice, and it's so amazing to me that the people with the worst credit know the most about how credit works. The people with the least amount of money know the absolute most about how money works, at least in their own mind. And so what's my point? Like, what I'm saying is that when you are not focused on you changing and you trying to change everything else, even when you get it, it'll be useless. All right. So we just talking about transition, man. 5 things about transition. You got to do what you said. Now, this right here, like, I'm gonna be real with you. Transition is so interesting because it puts you in this position to have to do what you said you were going to do. Now, remember when we talked about like how we could talk a big talk on the front end, and that happens with a lot of us. Like, we talk a lot, man. If I get $10,000, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and then you get $10,000 and you don't do nothing that you said you were gonna do. And like, I believe that what the Lord wants to do with us, like, I really believe this is how God blesses us, and this is why faith without works is dead. Because a lot of times the faith is just the talking. I'm not saying faith is literally just talking. I'm saying the way that we exercise the faith is we just talk, like we just say like what we want. And what God really wants is he wants a renewed mind, because I genuinely believe that God wants to bless us, but I don't think he wants to bless the old you, meaning he doesn't want to give the old you stuff that you ain't ready for. Like, I mean, just think about it, y'all. I got, a bunch of nieces and nephews. Let me just think of what DJ, I think DJ is like 3. Okay. Let's just use DJ. Why would I give DJ the keys to my car? Love him. Cute kid. I mean, he's absolutely an amazingly cute kid, right? There's a lot of things I would do for DJ. But as his uncle, I'm not giving him the keys to my car because I don't want to destroy him or the car. And the reality of it is, if I give a 3-year-old keys to the car, let me just go even further. Could you imagine? Imagine this, right? Imagine me making DJ my emergency contact at work. So if something happens to me at work and, while I'm traveling or something, and they go to call my emergency contact, and I made a 3-year-old my emergency contact. So in the most heated, serious moment, something is going wrong. They calling like, oh my God, whatever. And he on the line like, skaggy buggy, skoogie wiggy wigs, skooggy wiggies. Cute kid. But he ain't ready to be in emergency contact. What's my point? You might be cute. Oh man, everybody think they cute these days. I mean, everybody look good. Y'all all fine. Everybody fine. Your body, like, man, there's some fine people in the world. I get it. Everybody looks good. We focus so much on our looks. DJ's a cute kid, but he's not ready to be in emergency contact. And what ends up happening is we focus on all these superficial things. We want to look good to everybody. We want to act like we are something that we are not, and we playing a part, and we doing it good, and we looking the part. But the reality is, a lot of times we're not ready for what God wants to give us. The key is God wants to bless us, but we ain't ready for it. And God is not irresponsible. So he's not going to give a 3-year-old keys to the car. And a lot of us are maybe act like 3-year-olds spiritually, maturity wise, right? Like we can get up, we can look at memes, 100 memes a day and scroll our timeline, but give us one book to read or give us, one video that's not a joke. Like, can we self-development, y'all? I cannot stress to you how important self-development is. So when you think about transitioning from wherever you at to the level that you want to go to, you are going to have to do what you said you were going to do. That's accountability, right? That's accountability. Like, one thing, I'm gonna just be real, man. One thing I can't stand, let's say, and like I'm not the kind of person, no, I don't want to. I gotta try to. It's hard using examples sometimes because people might think I'm talking about them, and I'm never talking about somebody specific. But like I just don't like when people don't do what they said they were gonna do. Like if you tell me like, yo, I'm gonna hit you up next week and we gonna link up and get together, and if you don't actually do it, or you don't even call me, or we don't even connect, like that's tough for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of times when I'm talking to people about things, I'll be like, all right, I'll get with you. All right, hit me up. I try hard not to give my stamp or my confirmation and say I will be there or I will do something. Because to me, once I say for sure that I'm there, then I'm responsible and I got to be held accountable for that. And so I don't like when people tell me like, tell me no, tell me you don't know, tell me you'll call me the day of. I tell people a lot of times I got to play it by ear closer to the date because I don't know what my schedule is going to be and all that. So again, transition, when you're in that period of transition, in order to get where God wants you to go during that transition phase, you're going to have to start doing what you said you were going to do. A lot of us, we always say what we're going to do when we get it, but God is requiring you to change right now. And that's the thing I think people don't understand when I talk about money. Like, when I was dead broke, like it was funny to me because when I was broke, it wasn't that I was broke. I was making decent money at my job. It was just that my mentality was to be check to check in the spin. And so when you have a check to check mentality, what ends up happening is this. You always say what you're going to do when you get more money, but what you're ignoring is that you have a behavioral pattern of spending all of your money, regardless if that's $2, $10, $100, or $1,000. The behavioral pattern that you're exercising daily is, if you give me a whole pie, I eat it all and leave just a little bit of crust at the end, right? So when we have that type of mentality, the money or the amount of money ain't even the problem. You're thinking you are. That was the case for me. Like the problem with me was I was so used to living check to check and spending all my money and budgeting. Like we would, like when you live check to check, you're actually check to check is an amazing talent to me. I'm gonna be real, because when I was living check to check, I knew how to stretch in a certain amount of money and budget it to get right down to the day, or sometimes maybe the day after I was gonna get paid. That's a skill set, bro. You know how to finagle and finesse money to the point where you can make it all the way to the end. Like you could, that's talent, bro. And so what ends up happening is when you add more money to that, you just be like, oh, okay, I just got more money to exercise my talent to do what I do. So what did it require for me? What it required for me was to change me before more money came. Before God was going to bless me with more money, more opportunities, more whatever, I had to change. I'm going to tell you the reason that people don't want to do this. So about 10 years ago, it was 2012 to be exact. November of 2012 was when I decided that I didn't want to be broke no more. That was when I decided that I just couldn't do it no more, right? We talking about transition. So that was when I started the process of going from broke to whatever, having a little more. And I remember when I was so mad, and I was just like, first of all, you got to get mad. Some of us are not transitioning from bad to good because you ain't mad enough. You ain't tired enough. Like, the reality is you enjoy living check to check. And that's how it is for some of us. We enjoy spending all our money. But the reason we don't want to make that transition from being broke to having money is because we don't want to have to change while we broke, because that takes a lot of character. I'm going to tell you something. In 2012, when I first started transitioning from being broke to having a healthy, financially literate mindset, I remember when I had to stop I had to stop being reckless. I had to stop spending all my money. And it was like I had to take a step back. So back then, 2012, if you knew me in 2012, I was still wearing J's. Like, I mean, I like nice things. So it was a period of time, let's say from 2012 to 2014, we never went shopping. We never bought new clothes. I didn't have new shoes. My wife didn't have a whole bunch of new shoes. So it was times that I had to risk my reputation. I had to be like, yo, I don't got it. I used to drive this car back then that used to flood when it rained. Like it was raining. It was raining today. It was raining yesterday, I think, here in Michigan and where I'm at. And on a day like today, man, I would have gotten my car and my feet would have got wet. Oh yeah, you can get your feet wet. Like how you dip your feet in the pool. That was my car. Because I had went and said, I'm not leasing another car. I can't get another new car. I'm gonna pay $2,500 for this car and had a little Grand Dam for $2,500 and was driving that car and the window would crack. So it would rain and my feet would get wet. But I was transitioning. I had a plan. I knew that I was somewhere in the process. And what I'm trying to tell you is everybody want to get to the Benz or the Range or whatever car you want, but you got to change first. And sometimes when you change, it requires you to humble yourself. That's tough. You know how tough it is, dog? Getting out of a car and your feet wet? Excuse me. My feet was wet, bruh. How do you explain this at work when the bottom of your pants is wet? And he's in the car. Hey, let me call you to my office. You're bringing water, your footprints, you're spoiling the carpet. What's wrong with you, buddy? I was tracking water. My feet were squeaking because I was in the car. Listen, you know how tough that is to pull up somewhere and you had to take a step back in life? Some of us can't go forward because we trying to please everybody. Excuse me. We trying to please everybody, man. So we don't want to take that step back because of what it might look like. See, the content that I'm on and what we produce here at Inspire God's People, you got to dig deep within. You got to start worrying about what the right things is to worry about. We worrying too much about what people think about us. You got too much pride to get money. Like, look, I'm gonna just be real with it. Like, you know how much pride it take to stay broke and look like you got money? It take a heck of a lot of pride to look like you got money, to act like you got money and stay broke. And that's what so many of us do. Because we don't want to go through that small transition period when we got to take a step back and we got to drive a car. Some of us like, oh no, I only wear Gucci. Oh no, I only wear this. Oh no, oh no. You need to only pay your bills first. All right. What's my point? My point is that transition requires you at times to take a step back so that you can go forward. God is not always just going to bless you with the magical car or money that you want out of nowhere and you haven't changed. And I think the concerning thing is that the longer that you like continue to draw this out, I hear you. Lavelle said, use my godson. I'm just seeing that. Emmanuel, listen, I'm definitely not giving him the keys to my car. But the longer that you draw this out, the longer it takes you're delaying your own blessing. A lot of times we delay our own blessings because we won't start the transition process. God wants to bless the new you with something, but he's waiting on you to become the new you. Could you imagine that? God just sitting there waiting like, man, she been praying for this car. I mean, he been praying for this job. I wish he would just change and become ready for the job, but it requires you to prepare while you're still in your dark place. See, that's the tough thing. That's where the faith comes in. How do I start? Let me tell you something about acting like you got money. Acting like you got money is not flashing money and walking around spending money, because people with money don't act like that. Acting like you got money is actually to stop being worried about seeming like you got money. Because, like, I mean, I've seen Mark Zuckerberg in interviews with a plain white t-shirt on. He's not trying to prove to you that he has money. But then you'll have like the brokest person is Gucci'd out, trying to prove that. Listen, y'all, we got to stop trying to prove and just be. See, when you just are something, you no longer have to try to prove it to people, because you just are it. Like you're not. It's like, no, I'm that. Like I don't know what. Oh, that's how I'm supposed to act. Like, it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm black, right? So it's like, I've had funny experiences at work where, like, I'm not even gonna get into that. I don't have to act black. I don't have to post pro-black stuff on social media. I don't have to act like I'm from the hood. Like, whether you think I talk professional or proper now or whatever, like, I'm literally from East 7 Mile. That's literally where I grew up. I grew up in East Side 7 Mile in Detroit. I hooped in the hood. I caught the bus in the hood. I don't have to walk around trying to look or act like I'm from the hood. Like, I'm from there. You get what I'm saying? Let's keep it moving, bro. Let's keep it moving. What else we got? We got 2 more to talk about. Oh, man. Transition realigns your life with the newness. So there's a podcast episode that I want you to check out. That was, what was it? It was called God is Building Something New, right? So this podcast episode, God is Building Something New. And we talk about the fact that when God blesses you with this new thing, we're talking about transitioning from something bad to something good, from something old to something new. When God blesses you with the new thing, here's the dopest part about the new thing. It comes with other new stuff. This is why I love God, man. When God opens a door for you and blesses you with something, like this is why, like, you got to focus on the process and not the destination. Because you think the destination is the blessing. But during that process, God is going to prepare you for so much more than what you thought you were getting. You get what I'm saying? And so what happens during a transition is also about realigning your life with the newness. I'm going to give you the example I gave on the podcast episode. On the podcast episode, I talked about the fact that, I'm here in my new studio, and like, as I'm in the new studio, like, I could not tell you, like, it's great to have a new studio. I got it's bigger. I got all type of angles and stuff. This is just the first angle that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just sit in front of the wall. I don't even know if this is right yet, because I'm still in my transition period. So what happens is, like, I might have thought the new studio space was the win. That was the blessing. No, but it's like, once you get to the new space, then it's like, I got to get a new table. Oh, I want new furniture. Oh, I need a new mic. Like, so, like, when God blesses you with something new, like, more new stuff is attached to that. So transitioning is about realigning your life with the newness. And again, because you've changed, because you're different now you got to be like, excuse me, like, how do I talk now that I'm the manager? You feel me? Like, some of us only know how to talk as the employee. Like, you used to people calling like, asking you, can they see the manager? But now you are the manager that comes out when somebody asks to see you. See, when you were in a position and somebody's like, can I see your manager? You was like, whatever. Whatever. Hey, Susie, can you come out here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had a little attitude. But then now that you're the manager, you got to realign with the newness. Now you're coming out like, yes, how can I help you? What can I do for you, please? Oh, they messed up your chicken? No problem. Your steak is too pink? No problem. We'll take it back. See, when you were just the employee, the hostess or whatever, you had a little attitude. But when God transitions you, this is why it's important to develop your character, because the reality of it is, ain't nothing wrong with it, but we all have to grow. We all have to grow if we want to transition, but you got to be willing to grow. All right, and so the last thing, man, what's the last thing? All right, let's talk about this last piece. We're talking about 5 things about transition, and transition is this process or this period of time when you're going from one place to another. And the last thing I want to talk about is the hope of the unknown, family. The hope of the unknown is something I talk about on the podcast, Inspire God's People. You know what I'm saying? Um, the hope of the unknown is literally like, all right, let me think of it. Let's think of it this way. Most of the time, we get afraid of what we don't know. Like, we legit get fearful. Like, oh my God, I'm scared because I don't know like what's going to happen if I leave this job and go to that job, or I don't know what's going to happen if I become the manager and I don't do good. So I'm going to play it safe here. No, I'm encouraging you to transition because there's hope in the unknown. See, instead of being afraid of what you don't know, how about you just look at all the wonderful possibilities and the things that God can and will do if you change, if you grow. It's like, you know what, man? I don't know what's going to happen if I stop spending frivolously and blowing all my money and maybe investing, right? Like, I don't know what's going to happen if I become an investor versus just a consumer and a spender. But there's hope in the possibilities of what you don't know. God can do a whole lot with the unknown. Like, and I think that's where faith really comes in. It's having hope for what you don't know. So many of us, we don't want to move. All right, listen to this dynamic, right? This is a crazy dynamic. All right, God, I don't want to change until I know for sure that you're going to bless me. That's us. And God is like, all right, I don't know. I don't want to bless you until I see for sure that you changed. So this is the game that a lot of us play because we don't want the unknown. We don't want to have faith in God until he tells us exactly what the faith is going to produce. And what I'm telling you is that, all right, sometimes we rob ourselves of the joy of God's blessings because we want to know everything. All right, I'm gonna give you an example, right? When my friends, they go see movies, I tell them the first thing I can't stand is when somebody starts telling me what happened in the movie. It's like, don't ruin it for me, bro. Don't ruin the movie for me because you already saw it, right? I want to experience the movie. Give me the suspense. I want to see what's going to happen at the end. I want to guess. I want to that's how we should be living life. A life of faith is like a movie. It's like, oh, ooh, this is my favorite part. Oh, God about to bring me out of this. You know how the movie go. The movie always starts off. The guy was, the last guy in the world. For some reason, he's the only person that could save the world. The world is about to drown. And some, fisherman from Seattle is the last guy on earth that can change this. And he was just minding his business. And all of a sudden, everything goes wrong. And, he's this strong guy and just, whatever. And then there's always a girl, right? There's a girl that he got to save and he don't know her, but she's just super attracted to him because he's saving stuff. And he jumps off of a car on the freeway. He's fighting while she has her hand on the steering wheel. He's fighting on the freeway. We know this isn't real, but this is the movie that we want to see, and it excites us. And I'm telling you, that's how we should be living our lives as believers. We should literally be living our lives. What's up, Wise and Harmless? Thank you for listening, watching, and all that, and commenting. We should be living our lives like a movie that God has written. Like God has written the script, the scriptures, right? Like it's the script. Like when you think about actors, they're going in and there's directors. Like the actor, the actor is literally just there to read the script and to do what the script said do. Right. And so then like God, right, you got the director, you got the people, the producer, the executive producer, you got the people who are in control of the macro experience and all of the ins and outs, all of the behind the scenes that we don't see. We give the actors all the credit, and they might have done the least amount of work at the end of the day, might have invested the least amount of money or no money at all and got paid. And so what happens is sometimes like I'm like, yo, I'm just the actor. This is God's movie. He wrote the script. I'm just trying to live it out, fam. I'm just trying to know my role. I'm trying to learn my lines. And sometimes we mess up the lines. When God called for us to have faith, we have doubt. When God called for us to have hope, we have fear. And it's like, no, you going off script. Like, just stick to the script, bruh. But how you going to stick to the script if you don't read it? And we got to read the Bible. You feel what I'm saying? And look, man, at the end of the day, transition is an important part of life. And there's literally nowhere for you to get from where you are to where you want to go without going through that process in between called transition. Transition is everything that happens in the meantime as you're going from where you are to where you want to go. So you have to embrace the transition. Look, I don't rock with get rich quick schemes. You're never, when you listen to Inspire God's people, I might as well just tell you this now. It's always going to be about self-development. It's always going to be about the process and embracing the tangible steps. But this is what you got to understand. I literally know from experience and believe that these steps that I talk about on this show and that other people come on this show and share their experiences, they're literally life-changing. So yeah, you can all the little get rich quick scheme. The moment somebody promised me change instantly, I don't want to hear it. The moment somebody tell me, oh, it's going I don't want to hear it, because God required. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. There's more required of me because I've been given much. If you want much, you have to be willing to accept the requirements. All of us, when we sign on these social media apps, you ain't signing on no app and download no app until you accept the terms. All the small print, whether you read it or not, it don't change what you accept it. And what I'm telling you is that if you want to go to a higher level and you want it to be done godly, now look, on this show, this is called Inspire God's People, right? We're talking about biblical principles. We're talking about the Christian faith and how it relates to business and how to elevate and excel your life that way. I'm not talking about get rich quick schemes. I ain't talking about selling dope. I'm not talking about just making money just to make money, or if, hey, you got the wrong channel if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a way to develop yourself and to literally go through a process and to learn and to become better and to grow, like I tell people a lot of times, like, I've grown a lot, but all that means is that I got growing up to do. And that's the dynamics. Those are the type of things we talk about on this show. So hopefully you have enjoyed this comment. Look, man, I meant this content. Share it. We're going to be coming back. And by we, I mean me. But no, I am going to have guests and other people, Lavelle, Toya, co-hosts. But look, man, check out my podcast, Inspire God's People, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. We're going to be producing a lot more content like this. So if you like this, please like, subscribe, do all of those things, and share this with somebody. Share this with somebody who you know God has a call for them. God has a plan for them, but they've been playing with the transition for whatever reason. You ever see potential in somebody? The reason I create content like this, one of the reasons, is because I see so much potential in people, but we playing. Like, I'm just gonna be real, man. We playing, and I'm not really one to play. I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. Like, I joke, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't really play. You feel what I'm saying? Like, when we get into this content, this is life-changing stuff. If you're willing to embrace this, God really will bless you. But it's gonna require something from you, right? It's gonna require you to become better even before you see what he's gonna give you. The question today is, can you handle that? That's called faith. Can you genuinely handle that behind closed doors? See, faith is something that I don't care how many posts I make. I don't care how many posts I like or memes or stories I make. You know what? Faith really happens when we log out of these places. You know that, right? Real faith happens when ain't nobody watching. And like, what we really need to start developing, I think, let me just be real. I think we got to figure out how to act and what to do while everybody's watching, right? Like, we all got that figured out. You know what I'm saying? We know how to post the right angle. Oh, we know how to get the selfie right. We know how to get the lighting right. We know how to do all that. What we need to be rehearsing and practicing is what we do when this stuff ain't on, because some of us are hurting when the cameras are off. And so we got to keep the cameras on 100% of the time, because that's the only way we know how to act happy or to be who God called us to be. But God is calling us to be who we are called to be, even when ain't nobody watching. And so when ain't nobody watching, you might have to, let me not worry about trying to wear the Gucci joint this time because I can't afford Gucci. This content is going to require you to be real with yourself. Hopefully you could do that. If you can, I think you're going to enjoy what we have. Also, look, check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's on Audible. So where you listen to your audiobooks, just type Inspire God's People or just Google Inspire God's People, and you can find our content. And we got like 170 episodes. And I always tell people, start at episode 1. You can listen to the new episodes. We released one today. That's called The Definition of Transition. So it just breaks down more of what we talked about today. Last week, I interviewed Montel Jordan. That one is ironically called, that episode 163 is entitled This Is How We Do It, of course. So look, man, let me know what you think. Email me, JermaineWilsonMusic@gmail.com. Y'all have a beautiful day, man. Love God, love people. You know what I mean? And keep the main thing the main thing. Try to focus on what God called you to do in these crazy times. All right. Love y'all. God bless, man. Thank you for watching.